Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. From a very young age, Robert Kiyosaki lived a conflict that silently shaped his entire financial mindset. On one side was his biological father, the poor dad, an honest, well-educated man with a university degree who strongly believed in professional stability, secure jobs, and government-backed benefits. On the other side stood his best friend's father, the rich dad, a self-taught businessman, without academic credentials, but with a completely different way of thinking about money. It was in this contrast of philosophies that Kiyosaki discovered the principles that would not only transform his own life, but reshape how millions worldwide understand financial education. The essential difference between rich dad and poor dad wasn't in how much money they had. It was in how they thought about money. Poor dad believed the right path was to study hard, get a good job, work diligently, and live with the safety of government programs and company pensions. Rich dad understood that money should work for him. True financial freedom, he taught, doesn't come from earning a high salary, but from building assets that generate continuous income, independent of one's active labor. The great trap that imprisons most people is the endless cycle of working for money. As soon as they receive their paycheck, they pay bills, debts, taxes, and consumer expenses. There's rarely anything left to invest in real assets. This rat race keeps millions working harder each year, but never truly building wealth. Rich Dad taught that the secret lies in prioritizing asset building as early as possible, even with small initial steps. Every acquired asset grows income streams, gradually reducing dependence on active labor. Kiyosaki explains that, unfortunately, traditional education teaches little, if anything, about personal finance. Schools produce excellent employees, but fail to prepare people to manage their own money. Essential financial skills, understanding investments, cash flow, assets, liabilities, and tax strategies, are largely absent from most school curricula. As a result, many highly educated professionals with high salaries still struggle financially throughout their lives. One of the book's core teachings is a simple but powerful definition of assets and liabilities. Assets put money into your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. This distinction challenges many conventional beliefs. For instance, poor dad considered home ownership an asset. But rich dad taught that while your primary residence drains money through mortgages, maintenance, taxes, and insurance, it doesn't produce positive cash flow. True wealth comes from acquiring productive assets, rental properties, stocks, businesses, patents, franchises, or any source of passive income. Another powerful point is the fear of losing money. Financial fear paralyzes millions. They avoid risks and cling to the illusion of safety and a steady paycheck, even as it limits their growth potential. Rich Dad taught that financial growth requires learning how to deal with risk intelligently through education, preparation, and strategies that minimize losses while maximizing gains. Kiyosaki emphasizes the critical importance of developing financial intelligence. This means learning how to read numbers, analyze balance sheets, understand cash flow statements, and master tax strategies. Without these skills, even high-income earners can make severe financial mistakes and end up buried in debt. Financial intelligence allows individuals to spot opportunities that others overlook as risky or confusing. The mindset of working for money must be replaced with making money work for you. While most people chase job security, Rich Dad pursued freedom through multiple income streams. This includes building businesses, investing in real estate, buying stocks and funds, and, most importantly, understanding how the financial system can serve your interests rather than control you. Another essential concept is the power of leverage. Leverage allows small amounts of capital, when managed wisely, to generate far greater returns than individual effort alone could achieve. Through financing, partnerships, franchises, or scalable business systems, leverage becomes the secret engine behind accelerated wealth growth. Kiyosaki also warns about emotional dependence on money. Many people work out of fear of losing their job, failing to pay bills, or facing instability. This fear keeps them trapped in unsatisfying careers, accepting salaries far below their potential, just to maintain a comfortable but fragile lifestyle. Rich Dad taught that real security isn't found in a paycheck. It's in the ability to generate wealth independently of any employer or company. Kiyosaki dives deeper into the emotional traps that chain most people to financial struggle. He explains that two emotions rule financial decisions: fear and desire. Fear drives people to work hard, while desire pushes them to spend recklessly, often falling into deeper debt. This cycle feeds what Kiyosaki calls the rat race. People work to pay bills, but their increasing desires for better houses, cars, vacations, and luxury goods keep them locked into jobs they don't enjoy. The more they earn, the more they spend, constantly upgrading their lifestyle instead of their financial foundation. Rich Dad taught that real wealth comes from breaking free of this emotional cycle. Instead of chasing temporary pleasure, the wealthy focus on acquiring income-producing assets, building long-term financial independence. The middle class, trapped by emotional spending, rarely accumulates true wealth because they prioritize looking rich over becoming rich. Financial education is what allows people to break this destructive pattern. Without it, even those with high incomes often live one crisis away from financial disaster. A medical emergency, job loss, or market downturn can instantly wipe out years of hard work if no asset base exists to protect them. One of Rich Dad's core principles is this: the rich don't work for money, they make money work for them. This requires shifting your identity from that of an employee to that of an investor and entrepreneur. Kiyosaki also highlights the importance of self-awareness. People often avoid financial education because they fear exposing their own ignorance. But true growth begins with acknowledging gaps in knowledge and committing to lifelong learning. You don't need to be perfect to start, but you do need to start to become better. Another distinction between Rich Dad and Poor Dad was their attitudes toward mistakes. Poor Dad feared mistakes, seeing them as signs of failure. Rich Dad embraced mistakes as learning tools, recognizing that failures carry valuable lessons that fuel growth. The financially educated don't avoid risk, they manage it. Instead of fearing loss, they analyze opportunities, evaluate downside scenarios, and take calculated action. Every failure becomes tuition for future success. This mentality separates financial survivors from financial winners. Those who hide from risk stay trapped in dependency. Those who master risk build freedom. If these powerful insights are opening your eyes like they did for millions, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on notifications. The upcoming chapters will go even deeper into the wealth building systems that separate the financially free from the financially trapped. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Kiyosaki also discusses how most people are financially reactive rather than proactive. They wait for raises, promotions, or external economic changes to dictate their finances. The wealthy, in contrast, proactively build and adjust their financial strategies regardless of the economy. Rich Dad emphasized the importance of building multiple streams of income. Relying solely on a job creates vulnerability, but developing businesses, investments, and intellectual property creates resilience. Rental income, stock dividends, royalties, small business profits. With diverse income streams, one loss doesn't devastate your financial stability. Another key principle is understanding opportunity cost. Every dollar spent today is a dollar that could have been invested. Impulse spending has long-term consequences far beyond the immediate purchase. Your financial choices today determine your freedom tomorrow. Rich Dad taught Robert to question every purchase. Is this item an asset or a liability? Will this generate income or drain resources? Is this purchase moving me closer or further from financial freedom? Kiyosaki continues by revealing how financial freedom is rooted in mindset, not simply income level. Many people mistakenly believe that earning a higher salary will automatically make them wealthy. In reality, without proper financial habits and intelligence, higher earnings often lead to higher spending. Rich Dad's wealth-building philosophy centered around breaking the paycheck-to-paycheck mentality entirely. It's not about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep and how effectively you make your money work for you. The financially independent live on a fraction of their income while aggressively acquiring assets that generate passive cash flow. Over time, this snowballs into financial freedom, where work becomes optional. Another critical principle is understanding how taxes work against most employees. Salaries are heavily taxed before the worker even receives their paycheck. Meanwhile, business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs enjoy access to tax advantages that allow them to legally keep more of their money. Rich Dad taught that the wealthy master 3 key skills: generating income, protecting income, multiplying income. Tax knowledge is central to the second skill, protecting income. The tax code offers numerous legal incentives for entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and business owners. Those who fail to study tax laws often lose massive amounts of wealth unnecessarily. Kiyosaki also stresses that financial freedom requires emotional strength. Can you delay gratification? Can you tolerate discomfort and uncertainty? Can you resist the temptation of status symbols? The ability to stay focused on long-term wealth while others chase short-term pleasure separates true builders from temporary earners. Another vital distinction between Rich Dad and Poor Dad was their views on security. Poor Dad sought job security, believing loyalty to an employer was the path to stability. Rich Dad built personal security by controlling income streams and assets, minimizing dependency on any single source. This personal control provides a level of freedom no job can offer. When one asset slows or fails, others keep producing income, preventing financial collapse. Kiyosaki introduces what he calls the Cashflow Quadrant, a model that explains 4 types of income earners. Employees, trade time for money, taxed at the highest rate. S, self-employed, own their job but income still depends on personal effort. B, business owners, build systems that generate income independently of their labor. I, investors, make money work for them entirely through assets. The goal, according to Rich Dad, is to move from the E and S quadrants into the B and I quadrants as early as possible. That's where scalable wealth and true financial freedom are created. Kiyosaki explains that most people stay trapped in the E and S quadrants due to fear of failure and lack of financial education. Employees fear losing a steady paycheck. Self-employed, individuals fear losing control or stability. The wealthy overcome these fears through knowledge, mentorship, and controlled risk-taking, allowing them to build scalable businesses and powerful investment portfolios. Developing the B and I skill sets requires learning, leadership, sales and marketing, financial analysis, negotiation, asset evaluation. Each skill adds another layer of leverage and protection to your financial foundation. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Wealth is built by how much you keep and reinvest, not what you earn. The wealthy leverage tax laws to protect and grow wealth. Emotional strength allows for long-term wealth accumulation. Job security is fragile. Asset control creates real security. The Cashflow Quadrant reveals the path to scalable wealth. Fear blocks most people from entering the B and I quadrants. Financial skills compound your ability to create and preserve wealth. Kiyosaki continues to emphasize that financial intelligence is not static. It must evolve as you grow. Each stage of wealth building brings new challenges and opportunities, requiring continuous learning and adaptation. What got you here won't get you there. Rich Dad taught that mastery of money requires you to constantly study market trends, real estate cycles, tax law changes, emerging business models, shifting investment vehicles. The wealthy are students for life, always sharpening their financial edge. Another concept Kiyosaki explores is financial creativity. The average person thinks within very limited financial options. Get a job, save money, invest in mutual funds. The financially intelligent see dozens of pathways most people never consider. Rich Dad encouraged Robert to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. A declining real estate market becomes a chance to acquire undervalued property. A struggling business may hold hidden assets or market positioning. New technologies open entirely new industries overnight. The key is cultivating the mindset that asks, how can I make this work? Instead of saying, it's too risky. Kiyosaki warns that financial literacy requires breaking free from the herd mentality. The masses seek comfort. They follow trends. They react emotionally to market swings. The wealthy operate from logic, preparation, and discipline, not emotion. They make decisions based on numbers, strategy, and long-term positioning. Another distinction Rich Dad taught was between being busy and being productive. Many people stay extremely busy, long hours, constant activity, yet make little financial progress. Busyness doesn't create wealth, only leverage productivity does. The wealthy focus their energy on activities that create scalable income, negotiating real estate deals, building business systems, acquiring appreciating assets, expanding high-return partnerships. Kiyosaki stresses the importance of delayed gratification at this stage. As assets grow and income streams multiply, many feel tempted to indulge prematurely. The discipline to keep building during the growth phase separates millionaires from billionaires. Even after achieving financial independence, the most successful continue reinvesting, expanding, and strengthening their asset base. They view money not as an end, but as a tool to amplify future opportunities. Rich Dad also warned about the complacency that success can breed. The moment you believe you've arrived, you stop growing. Markets change, new competition arises, regulations shift. Financial freedom must be actively maintained through constant attention and strategic adjustments. One of Kiyosaki's most powerful insights is that wealth isn't simply about numbers, it's about personal growth. As you grow your financial intelligence, you grow as a person. Wealth is a reflection of who you become. Every skill developed, sales, leadership, investing, negotiation, not only builds wealth but transforms your thinking, confidence, and capacity to create value for others. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Financial intelligence evolves at every stage of wealth. Creativity opens pathways most people never see. Herd mentality traps the majority in mediocrity. Busyness is not wealth. Leverage creates scalable income. Delayed gratification fuels sustained wealth growth. Complacency is the hidden danger of early success. Wealth reflects your personal growth and development. As Kiyosaki moves deeper into Rich Dad's teachings, he addresses one of the most underestimated wealth-building principles: self-discipline. Without discipline, no level of income, intelligence, or opportunity can create sustainable wealth. It's not the money that makes you rich, it's your habits and discipline. Financial discipline shows up in many areas: controlling spending, sticking to budgets, consistent saving and investing, managing emotions during market shifts, saying no to unnecessary luxury temptations. The wealthy maintain financial discipline even after achieving success. This allows their wealth to compound, while others plateau or decline due to careless spending. Rich Dad also emphasized building what he called emotional fortitude. Every entrepreneur and investor faces rejection, setbacks, and criticism. Deals fall apart, markets crash, partners betray, unexpected problems arise. Without emotional strength, Many give up long before reaching financial independence. Resilience separates the financially free from the financially fragile. Kiyosaki warns that many people sabotage themselves through self-doubt and negative thinking. What if I fail? What will people say? It's too risky. The wealthy flip these questions into positive challenges. What can I learn if this fails? How can I reduce risk intelligently? Who can mentor me through this process? Rich Dad constantly reminded Robert that comfort is the enemy of growth. Most people live in comfort zones that offer short-term ease but long-term stagnation. Comfortable today means trapped tomorrow. To grow wealth, you must willingly enter zones of discomfort, learning unfamiliar skills, taking calculated risks, admitting ignorance and seeking mentors, facing criticism and failure publicly. These temporary discomforts expand your capacity for both wealth and personal confidence. Kiyosaki highlights that financial intelligence isn't reserved for math geniuses or Wall Street elites. It's a set of skills anyone can develop. Basic financial statements, understanding assets versus liabilities, cash flow management, debt leverage, market analysis. The sooner you develop these skills, the faster your financial growth accelerates. Another Rich Dad principle is to always control your own education. Don't rely solely on schools, employers, or even financial advisors to dictate your learning. The most dangerous words are, "I already know that." Lifelong financial learning allows you to spot opportunities others miss, adapt to changing markets, and continually refine your wealth-building strategies. Rich Dad also emphasized the importance of goal clarity. What specific income level do you want? By when? What type of assets will produce that income? Clear financial goals give direction and urgency to your learning, investments, and business-building efforts. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Self-discipline is the foundation of sustainable wealth. Emotional fortitude carries you through setbacks. Comfort zones quietly destroy financial growth. Anyone can develop financial intelligence with focused effort. Continuous self-education keeps your edge sharp. Clarity of financial goals accelerates focused action. As Kiyosaki progresses deeper into financial mastery, he addresses one of the biggest wealth accelerators, financial leverage through partnerships and teams. You can only get so far alone. Wealth multiplies through collaboration. Rich Dad taught Robert that wealthy individuals rarely operate solo. Instead, they build powerful teams consisting of accountants who maximize tax efficiency, attorneys who structure legal protections, brokers and agents who source deals, mentors who guide strategic decisions, employees and contractors who execute operations. This team-based approach allows wealthy individuals to leverage specialized knowledge far beyond their personal expertise. In contrast, Poor Dad often tried to handle everything himself, believing that independence meant self-reliance. But Rich Dad showed that true independence comes from controlling the system, not doing all the work personally. Delegation and trust are crucial skills in wealth building. While many people fear losing control, the wealthy recognize that control comes from creating systems that operate without constant personal involvement. Rich Dad also explained that scaling wealth requires learning to assess and manage risk at a higher level. Small thinkers avoid all risk. Smart investors mitigate risk through diversification, insurance, partnerships, and contingency planning. Rather than fearing risk, the wealthy engineer safety nets that allow bold moves while minimizing potential damage. Kiyosaki introduces the idea of controlled failure. Rather than aiming for perfection, successful entrepreneurs design ventures where small failures are acceptable and lessons are quickly absorbed without catastrophic consequences. Fail small, learn fast, adjust continuously. This iterative approach builds both skill and confidence while preserving financial stability during the learning process. Rich Dad constantly warned Robert against paralysis by analysis. Many intelligent people stay stuck, endlessly researching and planning, but never taking action. Knowledge unused is wasted potential. The wealthy balance education with execution. They know that some lessons only reveal themselves after committing resources, testing strategies, and adjusting in real-world conditions. Another wealth accelerator is the ability to recognize undervalued opportunities others overlook. Distressed properties, undervalued stocks, small businesses with hidden potential, licensing and intellectual property rights. Rich Dad trained Robert to see what others miss because they lack the training, patience, or willingness to investigate further. Wealthy individuals cultivate strong pattern recognition over time. After analyzing hundreds of deals, reviewing endless financials, and observing countless business models, they develop a sixth sense for identifying promising opportunities quickly. Kiyosaki emphasizes that building wealth is not about luck. It's about being prepared when opportunities emerge, having capital ready, knowing how to evaluate deals, and confidently moving when others hesitate. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. In the world of business and investing, speed of decision-making often determines who captures the most valuable opportunities. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Wealth scales through teams, not solo effort. Delegation allows focus on high-value decisions. Smart risk management enables bold moves. Controlled failure accelerates learning safely. Action is superior to endless analysis. Pattern recognition sharpens with experience. Preparation transforms luck into predictable success. Kiyosaki now introduces one of Rich Dad's most powerful wealth principles. The faster your money moves, the harder it works for you. Money is like energy. It stagnates when sitting idle. While most people save money in low-interest accounts, fearful of losing it, the wealthy keep their capital in motion. Reinvesting business profits into expansion. Rolling investment gains into larger asset purchases. Acquiring additional properties as equity builds. Reallocating portfolio profits into emerging opportunities. Constant capital movement compounds growth exponentially. Rich Dad explained that money's job is to work, not sit still. The wealthy design their financial systems to keep money actively generating returns across multiple channels simultaneously. In contrast, poor dad often saw saving as the highest virtue, equating money sitting in a bank with financial security. While saving is important, stagnation limits wealth multiplication. Inflation silently erodes idle savings over time. Opportunities missed while waiting often cost far more than potential losses. Kiyosaki also emphasizes the difference between good debt and bad debt, a concept frequently misunderstood by the middle class. Bad debt funds liabilities, credit cards, consumer purchases, depreciating assets. Good debt funds, appreciating, income-generating assets, real estate, businesses, intellectual property. The wealthy strategically use good debt to amplify returns while controlling downside risk. Real estate. Investors borrow at low rates to acquire appreciating properties. Business owners leverage financing to scale operations. Debt, when used properly, becomes a tool for acceleration rather than destruction. Rich Dad also warned about financial complacency. In long-term relationships with banks and financial institutions, banks profit from your passivity. The financially intelligent negotiate terms, shop aggressively, monitor fees, and regularly assess whether existing financial partnerships still serve their evolving goals. Another advanced lesson centers on time management. Wealthy guard their time relentlessly, recognizing that every hour invested in low-value tasks slows financial growth. They outsource administrative tasks. They automate recurring processes. They build teams to handle operations. They reserve their personal time for high-leverage decisions only. Time is the most irreplaceable asset. Every hour wasted slows wealth acceleration. Rich Dad also explained that at higher levels of wealth, protecting assets becomes as important as building them. Legal entities, LLCs, corporations, trusts, insurance policies to hedge against lawsuits, and unforeseen losses. Asset diversification, to minimize single-point failure risk. The wealthier you become, the more strategic you must be in shielding your assets from legal, financial, and market threats. Kiyosaki reinforces that financial mastery includes both offense and defense. Grow income aggressively, protect wealth intelligently. The financially naive often excel at one while neglecting the other, leading to vulnerability. Optimized insights, key teachings. Money accelerates when kept in constant motion. Idle capital erodes wealth silently. Good debt amplifies asset growth. Bad debt destroys wealth. Banks profit from passive, uninformed clients. Time is the most valuable asset. Guard it fiercely. Asset protection rises in importance as wealth grows. Master both wealth offense and defense. At this advanced stage of the wealth-building journey, Kiyosaki emphasizes that wealth is not merely financial. It is psychological, emotional, and spiritual as well. You must master your emotions if you want to master your finances. Rich Dad taught Robert that most financial decisions are driven by emotional impulses rather than logic. Fear of loss, greed for instant gains, pride in status symbols, guilt around success, anxiety over market fluctuations. The wealthy build emotional discipline that allows them to stay steady through volatile markets, maintain consistent strategies, and avoid panic-driven mistakes. Emotional intelligence becomes a wealth multiplier as it protects decision-making under pressure. Strong emotions weaken logic. Strong logic protects you from emotional traps. Rich Dad also emphasized maintaining a student mindset regardless of your success level. Markets evolve, industries change, technologies disrupt old models. Those who remain students continue to spot emerging trends early, while those who believe they've mastered everything eventually fall behind. Another psychological trap that destroys wealth is comparison. Many people allow jealousy or social status competition to drive reckless spending decisions, luxury cars, designer clothing, lavish homes, unnecessary business expansion for appearance rather than profit. Rich Dad warned that wealth built on comparison is fragile and often short-lived. True wealth focuses on freedom, not status. Kiyosaki also teaches that generosity and contribution are integral parts of sustainable wealth. Wealth creates the capacity to fund charitable causes. It allows investment into education and mentorship for others. It builds communities and strengthens family legacies. Money is most powerful when it serves purposes greater than yourself. Rich Dad believed that wealth built solely for selfish indulgence often collapses due to lack of purpose and meaning. Lasting wealth aligns with higher service. At the advanced wealth stage, estate planning becomes critical. The financially intelligent prepare generational transfer strategies to ensure their assets serve not only themselves, but their families and communities long after they're gone. Trust structures, succession plans, education funds for heirs, philanthropic foundations. Without proper estate planning, even great fortunes are often lost within 1 or 2 generations. Rich Dad also taught that financial mentors should evolve as your wealth grows. Early mentors guide you through basic financial literacy. Mid-level mentors help scale businesses and manage investment portfolios. High-level mentors assist with legacy planning, international investments, and advanced tax structures. Your advisory circle must constantly level up to match your financial stage. Kiyosaki stresses that the most dangerous attitude at this level is complacency disguised as confidence. Stay humble, stay curious, stay learning. The wealthiest individuals remain the most curious. They study, question, adapt, and never assume they've arrived. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Emotional mastery protects financial decision-making. The student mindset prevents stagnation. Comparison-driven spending sabotages wealth. Wealth multiplies when aligned with contribution. Estate planning secures generational wealth. Mentorship must evolve as wealth grows. Humility and curiosity sustain long-term success as the journey nears its final layers. Kiyosaki emphasizes that wealth creation is not only about accumulating resources, but also about managing the internal narratives that shape financial behavior. Your mind is your greatest asset or your greatest liability. Rich Dad taught that every person carries deeply ingrained financial scripts inherited from parents, culture, and early experiences. Money is evil. Rich people are greedy. Success requires luck. It's selfish to want more. These limiting beliefs quietly sabotage wealth creation by creating internal resistance to risk, growth, and abundance. The financially intelligent actively reprogram these internal narratives. Money is a tool for freedom and contribution. Success requires responsibility, not luck. The more I grow, the more value I can provide. Mindset rewiring becomes essential for sustaining financial acceleration at higher levels. Another advanced wealth concept is anti-fragility, the ability to grow stronger under stress rather than breaking. Weak systems collapse under pressure. Strong systems absorb pressure and expand. The wealthy design financial ecosystems that thrive during volatility, diversification cushions against market swings. Multiple income streams compensate for losses. Emergency reserves absorb unexpected shocks. Strategic agility allows quick adaptation. Instead of fearing crises, they anticipate and capitalize on them. Rich Dad also emphasized that true financial independence creates intellectual freedom. The freedom to explore creative ventures, the ability to fund new businesses, the confidence to challenge conventional wisdom. Without financial pressure dictating every choice, wealthy individuals can operate from vision rather than survival. Kiyosaki warns, however, that financial success amplifies both strengths and weaknesses. Wealth exposes character. Not everyone handles it well. The undisciplined become reckless. The disciplined grow exponentially. This is why personal development remains central even at high wealth levels. Self-awareness, emotional regulation, clear purpose, ongoing education, strong boundaries, and ethical clarity. Rich Dad frequently reminded Robert that the greater the wealth, the greater the responsibility. Stewardship matters more than ownership. Wealth is never fully owned. It is managed, protected, and positioned to serve for generations. Kiyosaki also addresses legacy building beyond finances, teaching heirs financial literacy, instilling work ethic and humility, passing on not only wealth, but wisdom. Families that fail to pass down financial values often lose fortunes within 2 or 3 generations. True generational wealth requires intentional mentorship, not just inheritance. Optimized insights. Key teachings. Your inner financial scripts determine your wealth ceiling. Anti-fragility allows wealth to grow stronger through adversity. Financial independence fuels creative and intellectual freedom. Wealth amplifies character traits, both positive and negative. Personal growth must accompany financial growth. Stewardship ensures wealth serves across generations. Legacy building requires education, not just inheritance. As Kiyosaki closes Rich Dad's teachings, he brings the entire philosophy back to its ultimate principle. Financial freedom is not reserved for the few. It's available to anyone willing to take responsibility. Wealth is not an accident. It is a deliberate process. The divide between Rich Dad and Poor Dad was never one of opportunity. Both started from modest means. The difference was mindset, education, and action. Rich Dad refused to surrender control of his future to employers. governments, or circumstances. He sought knowledge constantly. He took calculated risks. He built assets intentionally. He surrounded himself with mentors. He taught others as he grew. Poor Dad, despite his intelligence and good intentions, followed the system blindly. He pursued job security over freedom. He feared mistakes. He lived paycheck to paycheck. He depended on pensions and hope. Kiyosaki leaves readers with a powerful decision. Point: you don't need to be born rich. You need to become financially educated. Financial freedom demands facing uncomfortable truths about money, taking ownership of financial mistakes, choosing to learn rather than avoid, investing time into mastering money, not just earning it. The wealthy play a different game because they learn different rules. Kiyosaki also stresses that the earlier you start, the more powerful your results become, thanks to the exponential nature of compound growth. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. No matter your age or current situation, financial independence can begin with one simple step: education followed by action. He concludes with Rich Dad's ultimate truth. The single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth. Ultimate optimized insights. The final codes of financial freedom. Wealth creation is a deliberate, teachable process. Mindset, not luck, separates the wealthy from the trapped. Financial education is the greatest investment. Action transforms knowledge into results. The earlier you start, the more exponential your growth. Responsibility is the foundation of freedom. Your mind, properly trained, is your most valuable asset. Final call to action, fully optimized for growth and retention. If this full breakdown of Rich Dad, Poor Dad has unlocked new perspectives for you, now is your moment to act. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and hit that like button. Because here, we don't just summarize books, we deliver complete wealth-building systems you can apply immediately. Let's keep building your financial freedom together, always optimized.